Hey guys, Joshua Peterson here, Peterson Electric. I don't know if you guys remember this video. You might, from last December. For my SEO guide, this is going to be labeled remodeling basically 130-year-old home here in Windsor, Colorado. I remember this town back in the early 90s, late 80s when I was a kid driving through here. Windsor was pretty small. Had about 2 stoplights. It's grown definitely substantially over time. Anyways, this video is going to be able to show you guys how this power at this one house had one circuit at 120 volt for the whole property for over 100 years. And I'll show you kind of what I went through. But before I do, I just want to say thank you, Excel Power. It took you 5 months to get my power back on. Though I passed inspection back in December for my service change, in January for my rough-in, I did not get power until May 3rd of 2023. So for all you customers out there that like to cry and get mad that you can't get your stuff done quicker, you better start planning, because if you have Excel Power or gas, it takes 6 months. It took us 6 months on a job before COVID 3.5 years ago to get the gas line moved so they could start doing the ADU. And so just to give you guys an idea of what we went through with this place, first of all, sometimes the office is a little messy with people's stuff. This has been like this for a while. So as Grayson tries not to fall through, this was wired right here to an outlet. We're cutting that out. Power came in here. So this is the 120 volt line hot next to the neutral, which was completely eroded and would have blew up and melted pretty much this whole little shed down. But that's your 120 coming in. You can't keep these meters, guys. You're not allowed to. As far as redoing them, almost looks like a welder's mask. I've never even had this one, but I'm going to keep it. The property of Public Service of Colorado. Well, no longer, because they haven't been around in decades, maybe half a century. So anyways, power came in. Went up to here, to that 120 volt outlet, and that one UF cable ran the whole property to that outlet up there. So what we ended up doing and I kid you not, guys, look at that, service upgrade change 12/12/22, 12/20/2022. I pulled my wire in, inspected the whole house in 1/4/23. And then I got power on in 5.3 and trim out in 5.10. So if any customer is wondering why it's taking so long, there's my notes. I always keep those notes. Nothing to do with us. I just don't know why it fell through with Excel. Anyways, we put in a 2-inch overhead service mast, put a guy wire to protect it, to hold it, coming down to a bypass lever meter, inter-system bonding bridge bar, 2 8-foot ground rods. You have to see the acorn. The acorn, sorry guys, trash trucks always follow me. If the acorn is not present, it doesn't count. And there's 2 of them, one over there too. Now, don't you love this mess? This is code now. You can't have so many certain carrying conductors in a raceway, which I personally feel like it's a joke. For a house this big, you can stuff it all in 1 2-inch, but you're not supposed to. So we sleeved it through and sleeved it up. That took me a whole day in the freezing cold in December. This house has a surge protection now. Excel expects a 200 amp disconnect. This right here is your range, dryer, future proof for a furnace downstairs, heat tape for the pipes, kitchen counter plugs, DF, and then all AFCI and the rest except for the washer, that's a DF. We went from 1 circuit here, guys, to 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 circuits or 12 home runs. How did this place ever not burn down? We'll go in the front. Got our weatherproof GFI outlet with the in-use cover. Put a motion flood up there for him at night. Walking in is like a sunroom. It's all lights or all windows. Where do you put your switches? Up high? No, you're okay to take one step and hit it. If I was further, like over there, then I probably would have had to use a wireless switch system for the front entry of these lights. Anyways, this had absolutely one light in this whole entire area. As you can see, we put in 6 to make a difference. So this house, when I walked in, had one light right there that I swapped out for a ceiling fan. What a difference of lighting. Okay, coming in, gotta have your CO smoke combo at the highest point. This is the only heat for the house. There is no furnace. He turns on this valve. I don't know how we're ever going to pass inspection with that. I'm sure that has CO emission, but I don't know. Here's your temperature probe. This guy's dad was in here for, 80 years. He inherited the house. So anyways, they've been working on it. We had to cut holes in every single spot, whether drywall or lath and plast, and he came back and mudded it. To pass inspection, I needed it mudded. Switches on the outside of here, because I can't get into this wall, and they didn't want to demo all this. Too bad there's not a height requirement. I'm 5'10". I know Juanito here would touch his head right there. Anyways, just to give you guys an idea, they did want to flunk me when I cut this in because they didn't want that close to the shower. Yet the shower door is here. There is a 3-foot rule, so whether I put it over here at 3 foot, I can't be over a sink either, technically. But isn't this funny? You can be the side of the sink, but not over the sink. So somehow that doesn't count for the hair dryer. So anyways, I had to come back to pass inspection, put this in, drill it, and flex it all the way down to the crawl space and go back up, the little wine cellar. That is the biggest thing they were upset about. Now they also want to get me on that there's not heat in the bathroom. And so there is no 240 volt baseboard heat. And I did argue this with Safe Built if you watch my videos, and I am correct on this. You do not have to GFI protect a baseboard heater that is hardwired in a bathroom. I think it's wise, but you don't have to. But we do have a circuit downstairs waiting. If they want to put a heater in here, you're supposed to have heat in all bathrooms. So whether you do a toe kick heater, heat fan light combo kit, which are pretty decent above, those little 300 watt lamps, I don't really like those. They don't heat that well out of the shower. Baseboard is good, but then do you have to be 3 foot away from the edge of the shower with baseboard heating? That is controversial because it doesn't plug in. And he said, well, you need to have it wet rated. There's no such thing as a wet rated baseboard heater. Good luck finding that. Okay, so in here, guys, simply this wall he had to rebuild and shim out for me. Such a tiny wall, doesn't matter. We still had to have 220 amp circuits serving this counter, which we have one circuit here, one here, and this one for the dishwasher disposal, which I think he's gonna do a roll around dishwasher. And then over here, this is my for my refrigerator, and if he has a gas oven. Otherwise, I got my 240 that was existing there. In here, this was all completely falling down and molded. So we helped him demo a bunch of this out, about half of it, and then he came back and did the ceiling. But we had to have a washer and a dryer. This place has never had one. And if you do, any outlet within 6 foot has to be now GFI protected since the 2020 code. Guess what? If I touch the two, it's probably a little bit further, but you might as well GFI it. Now, the new code in 2023, in about a couple weeks, it's going to be adopted in June 1st. We now have to GFI protect the dryer. Actually, that was in 2020. I apologize. It's going to be extra GFI protection on the ranges. I apologize. The dryers already had to do it since 2020, but they're sister and brother next to each other, and all of a sudden now they need that to happen. If your dryer's tripping on that GFI, I don't know what to tell you guys. If the bond strap's not bonded on the back of it and it's a 4-wire, it should not be doing that. It could be that your dryer's just having a small ground in it. That is very controversial as well. I've done other videos, but in my brand new house with a 5-year-old dryer, I had a Square D home line, GFI protected, 30 amp 2-pole breaker, and guess what? I had to pull it out. I'm not going to go rebuy another dryer. Anyways, guys, so over here, same thing walking out. You got to have a switch coming in. We did a light for him. We did some power plugs up top. Of course, this was really hard to remodel. You see all this stuff? Yeah, it looks like the backyard. Right here, GFI protection. I just protected all of this coming out here. The inspector actually tried, he flunked me. He wanted to flunk me, but it's a fine print note. I think it's Article 362. E&T pipe, we call it Smurf pipe, or blue. I had so much of this sitting around free from a customer. He wanted to flunk me on it because if it gets cold, it'll shatter. But the only reason I need it is because I was surface mounted, because I have no wall to come out of the GFI to feed the switches and the light. So yeah, he built this wood around it for me. Okay, outlet out back, light fixture right here, photo eye on top. Coming into here, guys, this is the cellar. The cellar. People Under the Stairs, remember that movie? This is pretty spooky. Trying not to touch it so it falls in and kills me. So because I couldn't get power for 5 months, are we still rolling?
Yep.
Yeah, guess what? The cold water pipe bursted. And before the shutoff valve. He's had no water here now for quite a few months. 6 months. So we had to haul our water in when the boys had to use the restroom and fill the top of the tank. That was real fun. But in the dead of winter, couldn't get power. I must have sent them 20 emails over the last 5 months. Finally got it done. I don't know why. Anyways, so yeah, he had to come down. He supported his beam and raised the floor. Evidently, it was kind of weak there, and it was in the kitchen. And then basically, we've got a baseboard heating waiting, if they're going to flunk me, to go into this corner over here for the bathroom. And we'll just do a unistat on top of on it. GFI protection has to be present, but I did pull this for the fact if he's going to do a new furnace down here, you have to have that plug for the blower, and also for his heat tape. Heat tape is like 6 watts a foot. It's minimal, but he might heat tape this so it doesn't burst again. Okay. Then you also have to have a switch, and so he flunked me in having the switch right here with Romex. Okay. Oh, that's a lot of damage that's going to go here. Maybe in this place because there's so much stuff. So I just cut the wire and put it up top. I'm sure anybody that's short can grab that. So anyways, coming through here, we're now disconnecting power. The history of this place, this was one of the first stops through Windsor from the train station. And this was the kitchen back in the day. And so when they got power, they fed power from here and then fed it to the house. So back in the day, this house had no power. Granted, the back of this was an addition and the front of the house was an addition. Thanks, guys, for joining us. Hopefully this can educate you that if you're remodeling your house, you need to be patient, especially if it's Excel. And by the way, Loveland Power gave me an email in January. I've said this already, but I'll say it again. They're 2 to 2.5 years out on an overhead transformer on a pole. And so if you're going to upgrade your service, this is the other thing. Only in Loveland, Colorado. Beautiful Loveland, Colorado. Loveland Power, to be specific. If your line is overhead, like that guy, you have to go underground. You cannot upgrade even, let's say you're 100 amp, you have to go underground now. Unless it's maybe a storm situation. But any type of remodel with a Zinsco, FPE panel, Gould, split bus bar, GE, anything without a main disconnect outside, Loveland is making you trench. Isn't it weird? Excel Power says we want 200 amps overhead, period. We're not going to trench it. We don't expect you to. You can. But Loveland Power, if it fails, most likely you'll have to go underground. And so for some of these situations, it's going to be really tricky because see, it went from that transformer to this pole, from this pole to this house. And so I actually lost a job last week on that because I did not know that and they didn't send me an email. 6 years ago, you were allowed to stay 200 amps overhead. 5 years ago, 150. Now, for the last 4 years, it's been 100 amp, nothing more, and you can stay overhead. They don't want it. So guys, be prepared that it's not just a service upgrade. Oh, I'm just doing a kitchen remodel. And you need all your arc fault breakers. And now you touch your panel, but you have no disconnect outside, and you don't have 4 wires feeding it inside. Now you got to touch your disconnect and put it outside. Now you're touching your meter. Now you have to have a bypass lever meter. And now you can't stay overhead. You got to go underground. So what you thought your kitchen remodel, like, oh, the guy told me about $1,000 if I buy this house, that it would be maybe $1,200 to swap out a panel. Not on my dime, you're not. There's no way I'm going to do that. Unless you had a disconnect outside and it was already present and not failed and not an FPE. Because I saw one the other day, they did GE split bus bars failing, and it's an FPE disconnect. And that's back in 78, and I'm going to be remodeling that service. But that's in Fort Collins, and they're already underground. Anyways, guys, hopefully I can educate you guys. Again, this is May 2023. In 2 weeks, we're going to our brand new code. But remind you, it's not just the NEC code. What hits people really quick is also the utilities. And I have 5 utilities around here. 4 of them I have to know pretty well, but 2 is every day. Fort Collins, Loveland, Estes Park, Excel, and United Power. Oh, and REA. There's 6 right around here. All right, guys, just want to introduce you real quick. This is my son, Grayson. Wave. He's learning on this job today. Here's Juanito.
Howdy.
And then here's my other son, Jathan. Say hi, Jathan. He's graduating here in just about a couple weeks. So thanks, guys, for joining us. Have a good day.